Hi, everybody. Welcome into Midwest Racing Central today. Pete Pistone, as we continue here through the month of May. Lots of racing happening, a lot of racing yet to happen here in the Midwest. Let's bring in a voice that has been part of the Midwest racing scene for a while now. Kevin Ramsell with us here on Midwest Racing Central today. Kev, how are you?
I'm good, Pete. How are you? I kind of like this new gig you got going on here, along with everything else that you have going on in your own world.
Well, we appreciate it here. Again, Kevin's going to be a contributor here. We appreciate that. We're trying to grow this website, try to give some attention and spotlight here to all the racing we have here in the Midwest. And again, it's near and dear to both you and my hearts, certainly
Yeah.
from us growing up. We've got a couple of I would say a month and a half, I would say, in the books right now in terms of some of the racing here in the Midwest. We've had some regional tours with the Midwest Tour. Some tracks have been able to get going. Mother Nature needs to cooperate. What's kind of your general sense of what you've seen so far, Kevin? What might be coming up here in 26 in the Midwest?
I'd be curious to see what's going to happen with well, first of all, at the Midwest Tour, they had two good car counts. They had their Slinger opener with, I think, 27, 28 cars, and then Madison for the Joe Shear Classic a couple weeks ago, and they had about 23, 24 cars. They're going to be coming up again in Memorial Day with the Jefferson Speedway, one of our favorite places we like to watch racing at. And they'd be curious to see what they get for a car count for that. The interesting thing is that the Jefferson race, along with the Madison race, are promoted by Greg McCarnes, who used to run the series. Now it's run by Marty, and I can't remember his last name, but
Mello. Yeah.
yeah, Marty Mello. I had different name, but so so I'll be curious to see when he goes up to like tracks like Hawkeye Downs, Norway, when they're not Greg McCarnes promoted events, to see what kind of car count he does, because Greg really goes out there and does a promoter's hustle like his old, like his dad did, John McCarnes, the great John McCarnes. And he did that promotion hustle where he went out and really got the drivers to come and say, hey, this shows at my event, I want a good car count, can you come and do this for me? So he'll reach out to Chicagoland guys like Eddie Hoffman and other people, Hall Schaefer, to say, hey, can you come up here and race at Jefferson? I'll make it worth your while, type of thing. So when those events come up that are not Greg McCarnes events, I'll be curious to see what the car count's going to be for those.
The juxtaposition, Kevin, between the Midwest Tour and then the National Tour, which we're going to see here at Slinger, which we're going to see at Madison coming up
Right.
here on a Tuesday night. Going back and forth between the two. I mean, I think in a big picture, I like the idea. How about in execution? How you feel that's worked here in the last couple of years?
I think the first thing that comes to my mind is Menards East, Menards West, and Menards National Series.
Yeah.
How are they different? How do they look different? What makes the difference? Okay, about the only big difference is a 4-barrel carburetor in the national tour versus up here in the Midwest tour being a 2-barrel carb. But you go down south to the Southern Super Series and the CRA series, which run 4-barrel carbs. So then you pretty much have a mimic type of thing like you see with the ARCA series going around. I don't know if fans actually see a difference in the series other than the fact that it's pretty much the same drivers and a longer race with stage breaks and different formalities of how the rules are interpreted and how they do things with it. I don't know if fans are going to really be jumping on a national tour where if they've already been loyal to a Midwest tour. Like when they come back to Madison, are they going to say, well, it just looks like a Midwest tour race for it? So I think there's got to be some more division between what the national tour is and what your regional is. It's just like right now, I can watch a Menards ARCA series race, and if it's East or West, it doesn't matter to me. It's a Menards ARCA Menards series race. So I think there's a little confusion there with it, and I don't know if that's going to actually be something that works, or is it best to stay at the regional level? I mean, they already had to cancel their race at Dominion Speedway. I don't know if of weather and for some other reasons that we don't know about, but it'd be curious to see how that's going to develop as we go along. The other thing is that the going back to like when Greg McCarnes ran the Midwest Tour, there was a promotion. There was a promoter. And now we have going back to like the way how CRA was is, hi, we have our show. We're going to bring it in. You make the announcements, you do the advertising promotion. We'll show up and give you the show and take our money and leave. And that's I don't think that's really happening right now, and I think that's going to lose some interest down the road.
So let's go to the next level of super late model racing, and that's on the weekly track schedule. And we've
Yeah.
talked a lot here on the podcast and been written about it, where lots of tracks can't run every week a super late model division because of the cost. But yet we're seeing sort of like little schedules inside the schedule. Slinger's doing a triple crown, Grundy's doing a six pack, the Alive for Five series at the Dells. I kind of feel that's a good way to go about it. And the car counts seem to be, at least early on, Kevin, pretty decent when they do these kinds of schedules inside their weekly schedules at some of these racetracks here in the Midwest.
They do, and they make them real special events too. There may be a memorial race or something like that, and I think it helps the fact that they do have like their weekly late model division, so they still have a weekly late model to go in there. But the super late model is a higher level car, and it should be treated as a higher level. That hey, when they come in, this is a special thing that we got coming in. you know, it's not every week you're going to have your Casey Johnsons, your Levon Vandergeest, your Luke Fenhouse, Ty Majeski, or anybody else show up every week, like we saw what you and I saw back in the early days with Arco, where Trickle, Shear, and Weber and Martin all showed up every track every week. Every Friday night it'd be Shear versus Trickle out Mass, and we don't have that luxury anymore. So doing these Live for Five series, the Triple Crown series, I think it's more advantageous because it helps the track kind of balance itself out from a financial standpoint, because you really have to pay a lot more for those super late miles that come in. So if you have a thing where you make a special event, you get a better gate for those special events that pays out, and then your basically your percentage cost is about the same as it would be for your weekly thing when it comes up for those special events.
So then sort of a byproduct of that is we've seen a lot of tracks take on what they call the pro late models or the Big
Yeah.
8 series late models, and making them that more of their weekly kind of division in terms of the late model side. Grundy's incorporated that this year. How do you feel like that's going, and some of the differences between track to track with that division?
Actually, I think that's going real well because people like Greg McCarnes and the other promoters have pretty much got those rules to be unified.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost all it, and majority run pretty much the same tire to where you can go and such with it. So that I think that type of late model car with that parity of rules, you can actually do like what the old Arco days was, where you can go and race 3 or 4 times or 5 times a week type of thing. A lot of teams chose not to do that. Some teams like to race on Friday nights massing because it gives them a whole weekend off, or they just like to go race at Jefferson on Saturday because that's when the time they can have the whole family together for it, or Sunday night slinger, it's the end of the weekend, let's just go and race type of thing with it. But there's that parity to where they can go and run a Big 8 series race or run a Madison and run a slinger. They just load up, and the old good old Brewster Baker days of looking at Auto Week magazine and from six pack and say, what's going up next? Okay, let me look at the Auto Week here. Okay, how about this one? No, that's too far. How about this one? Okay, take the exit and go type of thing. And I think that's where it's going. And I know they're trying everything they can to make sure they keep the costs affordable with that. And a lot of these tracks have certain tire rules with it to where you can only get so many new tires per night. And I think that's what's going to help survive those weekly divisions.
Now, you brought up cost, and obviously another cost that we're all experiencing. And I've talked to some tracks, I've talked to some fans actually, and some teams, the high fuel costs, and obviously how much it costs now to get to a racetrack, whether you're any one of those three people that I mentioned. How do you think that's going to play out if we have these costs, which are not looking like they're going to come down anytime soon, Kev?
It goes back to what I was talking about earlier with the Midwest tour. How many guys will show up at Jefferson and Madison versus taking a trip all the way up to Norway Speedway up in Escanaba, Michigan. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Norway Speedway. I love going up there. It's a great scenery. It's a fun track to see racing at, but it's a 4-hour drive, and a lot of these teams are either based in southern Wisconsin or central Wisconsin. There's not many teams that come from the north down to the south in Wisconsin. So I'd be real curious to see how that is. I've heard a couple drivers who did not run the Joe Shear Classic that they normally do because of the fuel costs with it. it's you gotta look at it from the standpoint of will the drivers attract the fans, or and will the fuel costs keep the fans away too with it as well. There's a whole factor with the fuel costs, and I think that's where Wisconsin and parts of Illinois thrive on the fact that we have lots of local tracks nearby, so you can still go by and get your fill of racing. It's the matter, I think it's going to really hurt those touring series more down the road when they have to look at going to Hawkeye Downs or go up to Norway Speedway, and hopefully Grundy is not too far for them not too far for them, but that is Grundy when they go for the Bettenhauser race later this year. With it, that's usually attracts a lot of Chicagoland, so you're going to see a lot of good mix of competitors with that as well too. So it's real tough to say how that's going to do. I think it all depends on how you manage your finances. If you kind of sat back and say, okay, I got sponsor money, now I got to focus. Okay, instead of buying six new shocks type of thing, okay, now I got to divest this over to the fuel side to go there. You got to rethink your whole plan for the year.
I want to ask you your thoughts about the dirt side of things. Talking about pavement as we have, but I mean, I think dirt tracks sometimes when I go to, I feel like they've got bigger car counts. I feel like they've got a little bit more support from the fans. I mean, down in my area here in the Chicago area, I've got Sycamore. I got Kankakee, which thankfully got back to being it was on life support there for a
Yeah.
while, and it came back. Billy Nippenberg found someone to run the racetrack. LaSalle's doing specials down here, which again they usually get pretty healthy crowds. But then when you go north to where up you are in Wisconsin, Wilmot, 141. What do you think about Angel Park? What do you think about some of the dirt track stuff out there, Kevin?
I see the dirt tracks thriving. I mean, the World of Outlaws got like the best traveling. If you, I hate to say this because it's not what it's meant to be, traveling circus, but it is a thing where you load up the haulers and you got people race around. But I think the one thing that really helps on the dirt side is as many events as they run, how they map out that event. So it's I think the World of Outlaws is doing something like a weekend where they're up in Plymouth one night, then they go down to Beaver Dam, and then they come down to Angel Park. That's the best way to go to help actually to take care of the fuel prices by keeping those things regionally within a weekend, so they get more, basically a bang for their buck. The Angel Park Speedway is really making a big comeback, and it goes back to having Greg McCarnes coming in there and his crew running it for the sixth year in a row. And you look at that schedule, yeah, they got the Badger midgets racing there weekly, but he's also bringing a real diverse group of other touring series coming in. Like you'll get the Dirt Kings tour and things like that coming in. I think the variety of that is what keeps people interested. And dirt is very unique racing. I grew up around asphalt, but I always marvel at the quickness, the reflex, and the reflexes of the dirt drivers. I think that's what entices them more is just you're in that wow factor. That's it kind of goes like what Mark Martin said, and it said to me last year, and what I just recently put in my column was you want to be marvel at their craftsmanship. And it's not the craftsmanship of the way how they look, but the way how they drive. And I think dirt really gives the fans more of a better perspective of what talented driving can be. Asphalt can be there, but they gotta take away some of their little bad nuances lately. But I always marvel at the dirt thing, and I think that's what drives the fans back because you literally want side by side racing, the switchovers and everything with it. I think that's I think the only thing that's up here in Wisconsin is we basically lost Beaver Dam Raceway this year, and but the unique thing is that Dodge County Fairgrounds is like 2 or 3 miles down the road, and that's a nice half-mile dirt track that's going to be able to basically take up that lost time there with it. So, with it, and speaking of Midwest, you've on another dirt track. Take a look what Matt Tifft is doing, bringing back Mansfield Speedway in Mansfield, Ohio. Now his idea is make it dirt for a couple of years, see how it goes. But he originally would like to bring it back to asphalt. We'll see if that happens. We'll see if that happens. I'd be curious if he keeps it as a dirt track, and because I think right now dirt is a good thriving money. As much as I hate to say it, there that's your moneymaker right now is dirt tracks and asphalt. I think if they clean up the show a little bit and make the things run smoother, I think that will I think that will help asphalt down the road. And also too, the bigger product that we see on TV and that you and Bags talk about every morning, I think that really needs to step it up and really put on more of a show so that you can really relay it back to the short tracks.
Yeah. I mean, I talked to Matt Tift about that at Mansell. I mean, the last time I was there, I saw a truck series race there. Donnie
Yeah.
Leo won. It was a Memorial Day weekend. He'd love to bring it back to asphalt, but I think right now going dirt was kind of the way to go. I appreciate you giving us some time again. If you missed it, Kevin's going to be contributing to the website. You have a column up now talking about Mark Martin and respect and some of those things. So check that out, and we'll look forward to some other videos and some other things coming up this summer, Kevin. Good to
Well,
have
I
you on
got,
board, though.
yeah, I'm enjoying this, and I got some. I like when I talk to the drivers, I like to talk positive, like to talk, have fun with them, and hopefully I can get those, get that perspective to show what that they actually are humans and that they're not just robots talking about their sponsors. So, I think if you see my video with James Swan, which I can send to you to put up, that was a fun video. That was because it was just a conversation about life. So.
Good stuff. That'll be at MidwestRacingCentral.com, plus at Kevin's YouTube channel and our YouTube channel, and you can check that out as well. Kev, thanks for the time. We'll see you this summer. Look forward to it.
Yeah, looking forward. Yeah, you and I need to really sit down and watch a race sometime together.
Sounds good.
All right,
Sign
see
me
you
up.
later.
All right.
All
That's
right.
Kevin Ramsell. Again, he's going to be a contributor here for us at MidwestRacingCentral.com. Check us out now. Racing season's off and running. We're going to have previews. We're going to have results. We're going to have commentary. We're going to have photos. Stan Kalwazinski has joined us, the Chicago historian and reporter from around the Midwest. So we got a lot coming up. I'm Pete Pistone. We'll see you next time right here on Midwest Racing Central Today.